Hi, this session you're about to watch is called Encouraging Interactivity in the World of Me.
So I kind of agree with you in terms of touchscreen LCDs being sort of next wave, and just seeing them proliferate more and more. And then I guess the wave after that would be virtual reality. So,
Well, virtual reality and gesture control, right? Where you're immersed in the environment, but also using gestures that are normal and natural to you, right?
And so how do you see, like, in just one example, you know, in your own way, of how those things sort of collaborate or integrate?
So it's a really good question, because I think another way to ask that question, another way I would have possibly asked that question if I were you sitting in the audience is, well, if we have all this virtual reality stuff coming, at what point in time do we don't need all this other stuff that's out there, right? And that'd be a natural question for me, is if I have a personal information display right in front of my eyes that has all my content on it, why do I need all this other stuff too? And my answer to that would be because ultimately humans like to collaborate with other humans. We are comfortable with our devices, but ultimately the humans that don't collaborate with other humans go crazy, right? I mean, there's tons of studies on this, whether it be prisoners or loners or people who disassociate themselves with reality, where that's not a good thing. So people like to be around other people. So even though we might be like, and I agree that it's going to happen, and here's what I mean by that. If 20 years ago, or even 15 years ago, and maybe even 10 years ago, if I were walking down the street talking on this rectangular brick, you would have thought I was a dumbass. Right? You'd have thought I was weird, because everyone at that time was moving towards, well, number one, 20 years ago, they didn't have cell phones. Number two, 20 years, when they started getting cell phones, they were getting smaller, and anything that was this big would have folded, and it would also have been shaped to the face, right? So then to go back to something that is ergonomically horrible and aesthetically unpleasing, for me to walk around then flashing back, you'd have thought it was weird. But now everyone walks around with them. Like everyone is using these as if it is normal and completely okay. And keeping that in mind with an asterisk there, it's also a product that is the worst performing product you've ever owned in your entire life. Nothing else performs worse than this. Name a single product you own that you use on a regular basis. Any product that works worse than this, you would have stopped using. Like, for example, if your refrigerator, let's say you're watching, actually a better example, if you're watching TV and your TV just shut off, would you just turn it on and say, the TV turned off? If it happened twice, you take the TV back to the company and say, something's wrong with my TV. But your phone will disconnect calls constantly, or shut itself off, or lock up where you have to reboot it, and you don't even think twice. You're just like, oh. And the next thing you do when you get back on the phone is say, my phone got, I got disconnected. As if it's normal. Do you see what I'm saying? Well, it's not just Apple. It's not Apple. I could go back to Microsoft and the blue screen of death, right? Anywhere it locked up and had to reboot. My point is that we've come to accept that, right? So the idea of us 20 years ago walking around talking like this and interact, you would have looked strange. You would have stood out. People would have looked at you like, there's a weirdo. So if you tomorrow, walking down the street, saw some dude wearing a headset, you'd think, weirdo. So I believe if we flash forward 10 years from now, all of us will all be part of that weirdo community, and we will be wearing some type of head gear or some sort of virtual reality heads-up gear that is interactive, that creates interactivity, right? Because if you think about it, there was a great book that I literally read 20 years ago, written by a guy by the name of Michael Crichton, who has since died, called Disclosure. If you want, the first time I ever heard of gesture control. And his concept was, the problem with storing files on your computer is they're hard to find because you can't remember the file structure you originally created. So you end up creating multiple types of file structure, and you can't remember which one is the one where this file is located. So his world was, you put on a headset and you look around and you start moving things around until you see it, because you're looking at it all visually. And you can remember things when you say, I remember this from 3 years ago. I'm in the right realm of things, right? So like, for you to visually see all your files rather than through Finder or through whatever, Explorer or whatever, I think that's the future. So I think we're at a crossroads, right, where we're going to see this personal information display technology, but we'll always have that human collaborative technology. So I don't think in our lifetime it'll go away. We play video games. It's a lot of fun to play video games on our computer. It's way more fun to play them competitively against other people, right? It's way more fun to sort of be, it's great to watch a basketball game, but it's way more fun to watch a basketball game with a friend. And it's even more fun if there's a third friend there who's on the opposite side, who you can razz as the game's on. You see, we like to be around other humans. We like that interactivity and that collaboration, so I believe. So I think that, I guess this kind of wraps back around to the beginning, and I'll end with this, and that is I said at the very beginning that what I think you have to do is you have to look at the customer's workflow, you have to look at sort of how they do business, and you have to remember, they're not going to ask you for this. They're not going to call you and say, we need interactive displays all over our entire. If that happens, awesome, go for it. But that's not going to happen 95% of the time. That 95% of the time, they're going to call up and say, we don't know what we need. Or even if they do call up and say, we need new projectors, question it. Is it a projector that they really need? What is it that they really need, and what's going to help them the most, and what's going to make them more efficient, and what's going to make them appreciate it more? Because they probably don't even know interactivity and collaboration even exists. So thanks for your time today, and of course, I would highly recommend that you go out there and talk to Sharp, and if you're not here the rest of the day at Infocom, go to the Sharp booth and check out the Aqueous board products and play around with them, because actually demonstrating them and playing with them, you'll see the difference. Yeah, I promise you will see the difference. Thank you.